our regular planning meeting of council, our last council meeting before the election. We have council in attendance today. Ward 1, Councillor Link. From Ward 2, Councillor Bassetti. From Ward 4, Councillor Prague, and our CAO, Brent Alnick. And just a note that it is our last meeting and that it's been a pleasure to serve and represent and to act as your chair for 4 years. So thank you for that opportunity. I will read the resolution to call our meeting to order. Be it resolved that the meeting be called to order and that the agenda for the meeting be adopted as circulated. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Bassetti, seconded Councillor Link. Any discussion? Go ahead, Councillor Link.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Usually the payroll for the month is on the regular planning meeting agenda for council's approval. If this is the last meeting prior to the election, how will the next couple of payrolls be approved?
I can refer to our CAO in regards to the checks, but there's no resolution to approve this payroll.
Well, I know that it's not on this agenda. I'm asking why it's not on this agenda and how it's going to get approved if there's no more meetings till after the election.
Yes, Councillor Link, there is a payment register on this agenda. There's accounts and a payment register 10.1 on this agenda. And when you're asking how will it get approved, there's no resolution on this to approve because all of these checks are approved as part of the budget process.
The monthly payroll monthly statements are always number 11 on the agenda and we get to approve them. I'm talking about item number 11, not item number 10.1.
There's no payroll that was processed for this agenda.
Very well. Thank you for your reply.
Councillor Kleiber?
I think Councillor Link is aware there's no payroll for this agenda. What she's asking is, if we're not having any meetings in the month of October, do you not need an approval of payroll items before we're finished the meeting tonight for October? Or are you going to call a special meeting for payroll, approving the payroll?
Well, I guess I'd address that as that's not on the agenda tonight. We're not discussing that. And we'll have the payrolls will be on, if need be, we'll have a special meeting or we'll deal with it with the new council in November.
Okay.
As a reminder to council, there are no October meetings because of the election and because that was a resolution unanimously approved by all members of council not to have meetings and make decisions during an election period. And so in compliance and as a unanimously supported resolution of council, there are no meetings in October, and that was not an issue discussed at that time. Any further questions regarding the agenda? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. No addendums added to the agenda today. I will read our opening remarks for our meeting. The RM of West St. Paul strives to be a safe and inclusive community that residents are proud to call home, where diversity is embraced, the environment is cared for, and leadership is valued and trusted. The West St. Paul Council is committed to working as a team to provide good governance, safe and reliable infrastructure, recreational facilities, and outdoor spaces the community can enjoy in a sustainable way that values the environment and is financially prudent. Thank you. Our first item on the agenda for this evening, item 6, general planning matters. As has been our practice, Red River Planning District activity report is on there, the permit issuance activity report, as well as the applications received. And that is updated as of July 2022. Mr. CEO, anything you're wanting to add?
Yeah, this is amazing. This gets better and better every time I see the Red River Planning District permits. The health of West St. Paul clearly outcompetes all the other St. Andrews, St. Clements, East St. Paul, and Denardar, all of them put together. To me, this is truly amazing. I know in municipalities across the province, they're talking about what's going on in West St. Paul. And just for an example, I'll give you, out of 1,230 permits granted in the Red River Planning District, so that's St. Andrews, St. Clements, West St. Paul, Denardar, and East St. Paul. Out of 1,230 permits, 701 were for West St. Paul. So I'm looking at that, and we are almost at 60% of all business being conducted in this northern region is being conducted in West St. Paul. That's phenomenal. It's phenomenal when you can when you outperform a neighboring RM, and phenomenal for your own RM. It's no knock against them. They may be doing great, but we're doing well, in this case, 7 or 8 times as great as some of those municipalities. But when you put them all together and you're still doing twice as good as all of them putting together, I think that's a feather in the hat for the residents of West St. Paul and this council. So I truly like to thank this council for letting this administration and the residents of West St. Paul enjoy such a healthy 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. CAO. Any comments from council regarding the development services report? Hearing and seeing none, we'll move on. We have item 7, confirmation of the minutes. 7.1, committee of the whole meeting, August 9th. Be it resolved that the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting of council held on August 9th, 2022 be approved. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Brussetti, seconded. Councillor Prague, any discussion on the minutes of August 9th? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Our regular planning meeting minutes for August 11th, be it resolved that the minutes of the regular planning meeting of council held on August 11th, 2022 be approved. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Prague, seconded Councillor Brussetti. Any comments regarding those minutes? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Thank you. 7.3, special meeting of August 29th. Be it resolved that the minutes of the special meeting of council held on August 29th, 2022 be approved. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Prague, seconded Councillor Link. Any questions regarding those minutes? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Thank you. We have no bylaws for consideration, no accounts and invoices for payments. 10.1, we've got our payment registry there as for information and void check. Payroll monthly statement, none on this agenda. Monthly financial statements, none on this agenda. CAO report, I'll read the resolution. Be it resolved that the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul accept the CAO report as information. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Prague, seconded Councillor Brussetti. Any comments regarding the CAO August report? Go ahead, Councillor Link.
Through the mayor to the CAO, I am looking at the column of high priority, and I'm looking at number 40, which says Sisters of St. Benedict. Number 43, LID, Rossmore and Addis. Number 45, Business Park road closings. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think work has been completed. How do these items continue to require high levels of attention?
Those items aren't completely closed yet.
Thank you. I have another question. May I ask it? This is of the MLO's report. The tender for Legends Estates and River Edge playground structures. In accordance with the municipal tendering and procurement policy, the tender was approved. When will a tender be posted for McNaughton Park Playground Shelter and Benches? This was approved on the 2022 agenda. Sorry, the 2022 budget.
I don't know if that's a question for the MLO. You
Well,
want to
you
know,
decide.
you want
You
to know when we're tendering for McNaughton Park?
Yes, I am interested in that.
Yeah, we haven't checked.
Right.
Well, there's still time to go in the year.
Your intention is to tender for McNaughton Park Playground Shelter and Benches. Is that the message that you're giving?
Well, I have to look and review. We're not there yet.
Oh, it's a budget item that needs review. Okay. Thank you for your reply, sir.
Do you have a comprehension of what goes into putting out a tender? Have you ever done one? You just don't, you
I
just don't
have
put
to
up.
answer to you, Mr. CAO. I
Well,
do
well-
not have to answer to you. Thank you.
Well, I know you don't, but I just, sometimes I wonder if you understand what's involved in making business happen in the municipality, especially a great municipality like this. It happens with hard work. It doesn't
I'm not
happen.
doing
It
that.
doesn't happen looking for spelling mistakes or looking for something, a
Point of
typo.
order. I don't think we need to get into that. There should be no criticism of each other. Question is asked and answered. Let's move on, please.
I'll accept the point of order. I'll accept the point of order. Any further questions on the budget passed by council? All right. Any questions on the council August report? Any questions on the animal control report? Seeing none, then I've got a mover and a seconder on the reports. I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. 14.1 miscellaneous correspondence. Be it resolved that the council of the municipality of West St. Paul accept the miscellaneous correspondence for the month of August as information. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Prague, seconded Councillor Kleiber. Any comments, questions regarding the miscellaneous correspondence? Go ahead, Councillor Link.
I'm looking at the member advisory that was received August 5th, 2022, about updating accessibility plans for 2022 and 2023. Is West St. Paul's accessibility plan being updated, or has it been updated as required by the Accessibility for Manitobans Act?
Mr. CAO, I'll direct that question to you.
We're currently doing it. We can refer that to the MLO. That's not on my.
My apologies. Our accessibility plan is up to date. This is a sort of living document that we update and submit every 2 years. But our current plan is filed with the province as required.
Thank you, Madam MLO. That's good to hear.
Any other questions regarding miscellaneous correspondence? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Thank you. 14.2, Minister of Municipal Relations, proposed capital planning region regulations. This is received as information and on for our council and for residents. And so we've been able to see here the information from municipal relations addressed to myself, writing to advise you that the province has posted public consultation for a proposed capital planning region regulation under the Planning Act. The proposed regulation will be posted for a period of 60 days ending midnight on September 16th, 2022. The proposed regulation establishes a capital planning region, a statutory corporation responsible for implementing a coordinated approach to land use planning and provincial services to the benefit of the entire capital region, 8-member municipalities. So this is all in relation to Bill 37, where this board will oversee all planning matters. That is sent out by Minister Clark. Then attached 14.3 for information is a letter that I submitted for attachment for council and for the community, that I'm not really sure why we're being asked for consultation when you can see that the Winnipeg Metro region, which we're still a part of, but have suspended our participation in meetings and attendance, that the Department of Municipal Relations has recently received a copy of the Metro Region Draft Plan 2050 version 2.0, along with a report outlining the consultation process and related feedback that is done. I'd like to thank the board of the Winnipeg Metro Region staff and consultants for drafting the regional plan as its various versions, as well as engaging my department throughout the process. In your cover letter, you note that Draft Plan 2050 will be provided to future Capital Region Board for their review and consideration. And so it goes on and would like feedback. Our government is committed to consulting with you. So Plan 2050 version draft 2.0 has been submitted to the minister. The consultation is complete. And the previous letter would like some consultation from our community as of ending September 16th. I just put that out there. And any comments, concerns from council? Bit of a backwards process. So it seems that residents have till September 16th to comment on how land use planning will no longer be the final responsibility of councils, even though the consultation period is over and the minister has acknowledged receipt of Draft Plan 2020 version 2. To say that I'm disappointed would be an understatement. Having no questions from council, I'll keep going. 15.1 miscellaneous meeting dates. Be it resolved that the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul authorize attendance at the following meetings. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Prague, seconded Councillor Braccetti. Any discussion on the miscellaneous meetings? Go ahead, Councillor Link.
I'm looking at August 16th, review and signing of Manitoba Water Services Board agreement. Such agreements usually require a resolution by council to approve the signing. What's the resolution number when council approved the signing of this agreement? That's the first question. Shall I go on? Okay. The Selkirk, August 22nd, Selkirk record insert meeting. Was this in regards to the articles published in today's Selkirk record? And then August 24th, Valley Fiber Meeting re West St. Paul agreement. Is this referring to the agreement made on August 24th, the agreement for the right-of-way for Valley Fiber to use our right-of-way, which we approved on August 29th? Was there any other agreement besides the right-of-way made? Thank you. Those are all my questions.
Thank you, Councillor Link. I can only sign by resolution of council on agreements and review by resolution of council. We have a resolution of council regarding the expansion of our reservoir that council is familiar with. So you've provided a resolution and directed myself and the CAO to act. and that agreement was reviewed and signed. If you are not recalling that, Councillor Link, would you like us to pause and have Ms. Shaw bring forward that resolution, or do you remember voting on that item and
I
directing myself and the CAO to sign that agreement?
I certainly do recall that. However, it says review and signing of Manitoba Water Services Board agreement. It doesn't say what the agreement pertained to, and that is why I asked the question.
I only sign agreements that I've been authorized to sign by resolution of council. There's no other agreement than the one where council has directed me to sign the agreement regarding our new cell. That took considerable time to review that agreement and work on that, because Manitoba Water Services has a new process of sending that agreement. And so I spent considerable time actually logging into a virtual format where there's documents that are sent virtually and secured, and you need to sign up for a whole new system. And our municipality is signed up under the virtual document system that is through Manitoba Water Services and the grants. And so in order to access the grant funding of how many millions of dollars, Mr. CEO, for that one? 3, 4?
That's a minimum of 3.2.
Okay, so in order to access the 3.2 million, we had to create a whole identity for myself and the CAO through their document virtual signing process. So I believe that took several days for that process to work, several days for our CAO to work on, and a number of phone calls and meetings that I had, but I only charged the RM for one. But it probably took about 3 days of my time and more than that for our staff time to actually finalize that agreement for our residents to have that 3.3 million dollars. But I've only charged for one meeting and not 3 days worth of my time on that one.
Thank you.
On the Selkirk record, that process is the normal process where the consultant meets on newsletters. And that's that same process of meeting with the consultants regarding newsletters. April 24th, Valley Fiber right-of-way agreement. That's a resolution of council directing me to sign the right-of-way agreement, myself and the CAO. And in, once again, that regard, I am acting on the resolution of council. Any further questions regarding our miscellaneous meetings? Go ahead, Councillor Kleiber.
Just wondering if you can tell me why we took out a 4-page advertisement in the Selkirk record. Who authorized that? And why did we have 4 pages?
Thank you, Councillor Kleiber. That's a budgeted council item regarding our newsletters for September and October. And it typically doesn't go out to the entire region, but this one went out to the region. I want to commend our CAO and our communication team, because our newsletters for the past 8 years go out in September and October, and being extremely respectful of the legislation around releasing new projects, releasing funding opportunities, that cannot take place until anytime after September 14th. So those projects and announcements that we've been fortunate enough to have in West St. Paul to continue to provide the communication that our residents have been used to, which is a newsletter in fall, either September or October, that was put through as early as possible while still maintaining the September-October newsletter deadline that we've had for 8 years. So this will be our 8th year consistently of having a newsletter released out to the public in the fall. And we've been able to release that and share information about our projects, about the tennis hub, about the funding we've received, and in no way do that in October or after our deadline about releasing information on new projects. So thank you, Mr. Seo, for working with our communication team and having that information released prior to the election and before September 14th, so that that information is to the public.
I wasn't inquiring about the newsletter. I was inquiring about the Selkirk record. I think you misunderstood.
That's our
my
newsletter,
question.
Councillor Kleiber.
Pardon me? I inquired about the Selkirk record 4 pages, not the newsletter. I said nothing about the newsletter.
Yep, that's our newsletter.
So you're saying the
Getting
Selkirk
off
record
topic,
is now our
if there's any more
newsletter?
questions that are related to the meetings, then that would be fine, but we've asked the questions in regards to our miscellaneous meetings. Hearing and seeing no further questions, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is
Abstain,
carried.
abstain.
And we are down to item 15.2, mitigation preparedness program. I will read our resolution. Be it resolved that the council of the municipality of West St. Paul supports the submission of a proposal under the Manitoba government's mitigation preparedness program for the enhancement of drainage work and authorizes the CAO to submit the proposal. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Prague, seconded by Councillor Braccetti. Mr. CAO, is there anything else that you're wanting to add regarding this proposal?
No, we need this resolution before they accept our request for money in regards to, the flood issues that we've encountered in the wettest, snowiest year and that we've seen in a long time.
Thank you, Mr. CAO. Go ahead, Councillor Link.
Through the mayor to Mr. CAO, is this proposal also for funds to be placed in a reserve fund for future disaster mitigation projects for the enhancements of drainage works?
Yes, this triggers a whole bunch of different things that we can apply for, and that's one of them.
So we're going to be coming up with a new reserve for disaster mitigation projects. Am I correct on that?
Can't speak for the council in November, so that will be for a new council when we get to November to decide.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that's carried. 15.3, we have our tax sale reserve bid. Be it resolved that the council of the municipality of West St. Paul place a reserve bid on the property subject to tax sale in the amount of the property tax arrears plus penalties to October 19th, 2022, plus tax sale costs in respect of the property to be sold at the tax sale on October 19th, 2022. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Prague, seconded Councillor Braccetti. Any discussion on the tax sale? Go ahead, Councillor Kleiber.
The mic is off.
I didn't see an address or any property in question. Is it just generally the a resolution for any property that's in arrears? Is that what we're approving here?
There's a property that's currently out on the tax sale reserve bid, and there's no address on that property. That property's a strip of land that it's a narrow, long strip of land, like a foot wide, a foot or two wide. That's a long piece of land. So it's only got a roll number. It doesn't have an address, and it's on the tax sale list. So we have a tax sale list that we post, and that's what this one is. So we don't have an address to post, and the information is on the tax bid sale.
Any further questions?
Is this long strip of land in the industrial area or is it residential? Since I don't have it in front of me.
Well, I don't have it in front of me either. It's posted on the boards.
Well, you seem to know the long strip of land that you're referring to. So would it be residential or would it be commercial?
I think it's in a residential and an ag, between a residential and a AG 80.
Okay.
It's a piece of property that there's nothing that can take place on it, and the tax revenue on it is almost zero, and the person that was paying the taxes said I'm just going to quit paying them. So
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Our item 15.4 is in-person council meetings, and Councillor Bersetti requested this be added to the agenda, and so it's come up for the agenda. We have a presentation attached, and Mr. Buchalter is here this evening to present on that. So feedback that we've heard from the community and at request of Councillor Bersetti, what does it look like going forward in terms of in-person council meetings? And Mr. Buchalter, as our video technician who has supported us through COVID and made our meetings accessible to over 10,000 people in the last 2 years, has prepared a report and to share with council on a PowerPoint of what our options are going forward regarding in-person video and recorded meetings. So welcome, Mr. Buchalter. Can you hear me? So
Yeah, I can hear you now. Sorry. I guess when I switched over from just the listener to being part of it, it just was a pause. So I apologize. All right. If I can ask Ms. Shaw if she could please put up the presentation for me, and I will talk to it. As
before you
mentioned,
start, Brian, I just want to check in that even though you're presenting to us, we are still live streaming and all is good on that front, because I know you're multitasking, and good on you.
yeah, we are still live going at the same time. It's weird
Good,
seeing
thank you.
myself on many monitors at the same time while I do this, but that's okay. Anyways, so as mentioned, I'm just gonna kind of give you guys an overview of, I guess, what has transpired since COVID has started, and I guess what options there are going forward, potentially after the election, with potential of public being back in council. Next slide, please. So just some general numbers of what the attendance was in person pre-COVID. I understand there were 2 to 4 people who would be in council during those meetings. When we went to the live stream meetings, when COVID started, generally the live numbers were 4 to 6 people who would be watching any specific stream that we were doing. What I found with going through all the numbers was that generally within 24 to 48 hours after one of the meetings, that we were averaging about 113 viewers per stream, which is a much obviously larger number than what was currently watching in both the pre-COVID and live during the live stream, and that the intent of the public engagement, having people be able to see the meetings and is definitely happening. Lots of people are watching these meetings as they're posted and after they're completed at their leisure and getting their information from your guys' meetings. Next slide, please. So I had just done kind of a poll of some of the other communities and what they are doing. So that's kind of what this is showing. Sounds like a lot of them are going to start doing a lot more in person and then posting after, just to keep their communities in the know of what's happening and keeping things as open as they can. Next slide, please. This is just a breakdown of the numbers from when COVID started. As you can see, from when we first started in May of 2020, the number of views, the meetings, and then the average times that the meetings were viewed. Then you can see all those numbers all together. We have almost 13,000 views throughout COVID. and an average of 113 views per each of those streams. So one thing just to consider when you're looking at those numbers of the average times viewed, that is every time a new person has gone and watched the video. The number, which isn't in my presentation, was about 27,000 was the number of times that people had either viewed it and gone back to view things again. But the real number is the 12,000 or the 113 unique views per average per each of your meetings. Next slide, please. So what I did is kind of put a few ideas together of what public engagement can look like and having public back in the chambers. So I'll just go through a quick few slides here to show that. So obviously the simplest one is having people back in person and no cameras, which is pretty straightforward. Next slide, please. Obviously, the option is to do exactly what we're doing the virtual meetings through Zoom and having them streamed live to YouTube. Next slide, please. In-person meetings could happen with one camera in the back and then the video posted following the meeting within 24 to 48 hours, which seems to be when our residents are going and then looking at the meetings. Next slide, please. Option 4 is still having public in 4 cameras, one wide shot being able to show all members of council in the chamber, additionally with 2 additional cameras on each half, just to be able to have a little bit of a closer view of people who are talking, and one more camera on any delegates or any presenters who would also be in council. Next slide. Also in-person meetings, 8 cameras, 1 wide, 1 in front of each councillor, anybody presenting, and video posted to YouTube as well. Next one, please. So I kind of just did a little bit of breakdown of, I guess, a little bit of pros and cons, if you will, between those different options. Option 1 is pretty straightforward. Public is welcome, but there's no internet issues. It's not being recorded. There's no public engagement, and there's, I guess, no cost to that. Option 2 is continue to do exactly what we're doing with the potential internet issues, while still giving public engagement. Going to option 3, uploading the meetings 24 to 48 hours after you guys are done. There's no internet issues. It looks professional. There's none of those kind of things to worry about. And obviously keeping with the public engagement and being able to give the residents of West St. Paul the opportunity to see what's happening with council. There would be a cost of getting a camera and doing a few things to since the internet has been updated in the building, so a few things to do that, just some wiring things. Option 4, very much the same as 3, still no internet issue. There's more variation of the shots on screen for the viewer, makes it a little bit more engaging. Public still gets to see everything. The cost for getting those additional cameras and equipment in the chamber would be $8,500. And then if you want to go just all out, I threw in option 5 for you guys. That is many cameras, still no internet. Makes it a very high professional feel, public engagement, with obviously a much larger cost to be able to get all the equipment and to get counts or the chamber ready to be able to do such a thing. And then the additional cost of another operator, just because there'd be just so much to do. And then the additional charge of if we want to live stream it on top of that would be an option. But there'd be definitely some things that would need to be done in the building and the chambers to accommodate that. Next one, please. So just for review, these are the list of meetings that are supposed to go on, obviously, after the election from November to December. And basically it really comes down to either to continue to do the live stream as we've been doing in November, and then let whoever the new council make a decision from there. Or I suggest filming it and recording each event and then uploading it 24 to 48 hours after, as the numbers have definitely shown that that is when most of the community is then going in and watching those videos. And it just kind of takes a lot of the risk of any issues with whether it be Zoom, YouTube, or just the internet to kind of the same thing gets achieved in a way that can make it less frustrating for the couple of times when we've had some issues. Next slide, please. I guess that is the end of the presentation for me. And I guess if you guys have any questions or concerns or other suggestions, I'm more than happy to answer those questions or figure out other ways that you think that things could possibly work better or different if you guys would like for November.
Thank you, Mr. Buchalter. Appreciate you coming in and doing up a presentation for us. And I think everybody find that enlightening, and it's always good to make decisions with data. So you've definitely helped us in that regard. I will go around our council table here and see if there are any questions for you. Councillor Busetti, you brought this to the floor, and thank you for doing that, for bringing it to council. Any questions for Mr. Buchalter?
No, just more comments. He's answered a lot of them in his presentation. I was curious to see the numbers that we were getting during meetings, to how much higher it would be of the people watching it after. So you answered that through your presentation, because I'm just going to put it out there. I like the option 3, and that pretty well answered it, looking at it for me with the amount of people watching live to watching recorded after. So thanks for your presentation, and thanks to Admin for putting this together. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Link, any questions for Mr. Buchalter?
Yeah, I have a couple of comments. In order to make the recordings that you put up friendlier and easier to access, I would suggest that the meetings be clearly dated. Right now, they say a month ago or 2 months ago or a week ago or whatever. And if instead of that, you put down the day of the meeting, it would be very easy to access the recording that you're looking for. I think we probably get a larger number of viewers recorded because people kind of guess at, well, gee, this was maybe a month ago. I'm going to click on that. And it turns out, gee, it's not that recording. So they try another. So I think it pushes the numbers up. Maybe I'm wrong. But I think adding the date to what you see on the screen for the meeting would be make it more friendly. I think no matter what option is chosen, the public should always be welcome. Is there an option? Did you consider everybody's going to come in with their computers? Your computer has a camera. Could we not continue to Zoom as we are now? Only we're Zooming live in the chambers. And then we would only need one other camera and one operator, I think. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll let you answer that one.
Oh, sorry. So to answer that, yes, the date could be added to the bottom corner of the videos. But from what I understand of YouTube, when I have looked at the videos, that when you look up the meetings on the RM website, or their YouTube page, I should say, that in all the descriptions, it does have the date and the time and what, whether it was a committee of the whole or special meeting or a regular meeting is actually all in there. So it should be pretty, for anybody who is familiar with YouTube, I would think that they are clicking on the ones or not. They shouldn't really have to be guessing because they are clearly marked in both the title and the description when we do host them up onto YouTube. And then for your, just on the second thing that you suggested with being able to do Zoom in council, the other issue that would then create of doing it that way is the audio. Then people would then need to have headsets or do different things. As you can tell, that happens. There are issues with the CAO and sometimes with the mayor of some audio issues. That would be much more magnified and have, so instead of having some of the internet issues and things that we've had, you'd be having lots of potential audio feedback, and there would be definitely a cost to correct those audio issues. And it is something that can be done, but there would be definitely other implications to doing it that way.
Could I ask an additional question then? Are other RMs using the same system as this RM is using?
There are a couple other RMs that are using a very similar system than we are, yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councillor Kleiber, any questions for Mr. Buchalter?
Mr. Buchalter, I'm just wondering, the same question as Councillor Link. We're currently live streaming. Is there a reason why we can't live stream and have in-person council meetings at the same time, so that people that can't attend can still watch the live stream?
Okay, so sorry, can I answer that, Mayor? With that, the similar answer. So you could still have public in there and live stream it, but you still have the potential of having a internet issue, or if there's internet goes down at the RM building, I guess through, if I'm understanding correctly, through your guys' legislation, you are still doing the public part of it, but then people aren't, who are watching live, if you will, could still have issues watching, because there is obviously the potential of an internet or any one of those kind of options. The numbers.
Yes, but if our council chambers are open, then that satisfies the public portion of the meeting. I think one of the things that I'm wondering about is when you take away the live streaming aspect of it, you know, a lot of people like that aspect. It's kind of an either or option that you've kind of given us, which is you either go live or you go taped, or you go Zoom separately. And I will venture to guess there's going to be some counselors that are going to go on holidays and would like to Zoom in. So how would that work? Let's say a counselor says, you know, I'm going away to Guyana and I'd like to Zoom into the meeting. Would that still be a possibility if we take away live streaming?
Yes. In my experience, yes, that could still be done.
How would you do that?
Going further
Sorry.
back to what you were saying, though, from what I can see from the numbers of doing a live stream and the number of people who are watching. So for example, I'm gonna, look away. There are 6 people on YouTube live right now.
Okay.
I am for sure 2 of them, because I'm monitoring things as they're happening. I would assume that somebody at the RM building is watching it as well and monitoring on their end as well, possibly one more. So the numbers from and all the data I've seen from all of this, the views that we've done or the live streams that we've done, generally 24 to 48 hours is when that number really rises. It's not generally during the live event. There are ones where we do have higher numbers, and those are usually special occasions where there's a major project that is, you know, being put forward or any of those kind of things. The only reason I guess I would suggest possibly doing it just camera recording, it's just if that's when people are watching anyways, why, I guess, either put everybody else in that opportunity of having catastrophic, failure, which unfortunately has happened a couple of times, or having an issue that would then try and potentially put a pause on what was actually happening live if I have to try and do something to get a stream back up or to keep a broadcast live, as opposed to I can just hit record. It's stored both on the computer and on my cameras, and putting it back into the studio here and then just uploading it kind of takes a lot of the potential headaches out. And in the long run, it is kind of a cleaner way to do it. If that does that answer your question?
Yeah, you bring up a good point. And you said we've had a couple of catastrophic moments, 2 or 3, where we've had to shut down the meetings. Is that because our internet's not strong enough, or is it something else? Like, why are we going down like that?
If I recall, those were internet issues that I believe have now been rectified at council. I think that's they've been upgraded. I am kind of using one of these systems actually live at my house to take away that from what was happening at the RM. During the break, my intent is to return the rest of the equipment back to the RM, and then it's all being housed back there and using both I think there's 2 internet providers now that are available in chambers. I believe one was added as a backup, just to make sure that if one goes down, we still have the other. And I believe one of the issues we had a power issue once, and unfortunately, I mean, as we saw with Rogers, I can be prepared as much as possible, but if there's no internet, I'm not Shaw, I'm not MTS, I'm definitely not Rogers. There's just absolutely nothing I can do. Though if we were having it public and I'm recording it, no matter what happens, whether we have no internet for a day or 2, I can still upload and still have residents know what's happening.
Okay, so would an option be to have, your first option was all live meetings, second one was stream meetings, and then you had a combination of, on one of them, I think number 3, which is Councillor Bruchetti's suggestion, was live plus taped. And then I'm wondering where we could fit in possible Zoom when necessary. So how would we do that? Like, for example, I'll give you an example. We had an application with 300 people. We obviously can't fit 300 people in the council chambers. So at one point or another, we may have to opt into Zoom and say, okay, let's use Zoom, and then we can bring these people on one at a time onto Zoom. So is that another option? That's not really your purview, but it's an option that could be added on as a backup?
Yeah, I guess there's definitely a way of doing it. I'm guessing before COVID, when any of those things would have happened, I'm guessing that someone would have just phoned in. And there's a system. I thought there's a system.
Maybe in the parking lot.
Potentially, or that. And even if that was the case, I could still record it and upload it. With technology, if something like that were to happen, there's definitely ways that we could do that. We can, go through that on a per basis thing if it happens, but obviously it isn't something that would be a normal thing. But to answer your question, could we do something in the event that we had to have a large scale and change the format for a meeting? Absolutely. And I would have no problem doing that. We would just have to figure out how to do that and do it. That wouldn't be the issue, but I'm more talking about the standard meetings and normal circumstances. Doing it to camera and having public, whoever wants to come, is still the safest way. And there's no doubt that since we have been having it available for residents to go and watch at a later time, there's definitely much more engagement than there was in the past, from what I can tell, from what data I've been able to find.
So I guess what you're saying then is you're recommending that it's either or, because managing a live stream is not an easy thing to do. And you would prefer to tape it rather than live stream it. That's kind of the sense I'm getting from you.
Sense
It's
that
a
you would
little
have
more
to have a second
difficult to
person. Yeah. You'd be having one person managing the live stream and another person then doing the live, recording and capturing at the same time. It would be pretty tough to do both of those. It can get pretty complex and pretty hairy if there is a situation, as opposed to if there's two people there, you can handle most situations.
Okay, I just wanted to get that clarification because I was wondering why it wasn't an option, and if it's a difficult thing to do, I understand that. Okay,
It would
thank you,
be
Mr.
lots of cables and lots of stuff all over that would make things a lot of, as you know, anybody who's been out at either a live concert or whatever, live is live. Stuff happens. I watch TSN like a lot of people too, and watching football, and I watch the screen go black, and I bet you there are a lot more people who are upset than our residents. Unfortunately, stuff happens, and we're doing I think as much as we can to alleviate those issues, and recording it and then putting up later takes care of a lot of those issues.
Okay, thank you very much for all your explanations. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Mr. CEO, go ahead, and then I'll come to Councillor Prague.
I just want to comment on that. The most we've ever had at a public hearing is just over 100. And if we do have a large, and this is for councillor to consider when you're making your decision, if we have a public hearing or we're doing an LID, in the past, we have changed venues. So there's always a venue change available when we're doing something like that. And to add that for mid-size hearings, that just before COVID hit, we had redesigned our council chamber and added almost 30% more space. So and we are in need of as the world changes, we're in need of a bigger chamber to conduct business.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Councillor Prague, any questions, comments from Mr. Buchalter's presentation?
Well, thank you, Brian, for your presentation, and just thank you that we had Zoom when I was away. And it's not cheap to get internet out there. It's very costly. And I made an effort to attend all the meetings because I was concerned for my residents. I wanted to be part of it. So comments that make, I was on holidays, I was on business. And at least I never missed a single meeting. And COVID was here, and there's nothing on at the chambers, just to get that clear. And option 3, could you bring back option 3 up, please, if you don't mind?
Sure, Leaning, if you can do that for me, that'd be appreciated.
Option 3, out of all the options, I find option 3 from my take.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Brian.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Council. Comments from my chair. I just want to begin by thanking Brian, first of all, for coming in and making sure that we met all legislative requirements. COVID hit, and this council had a resolution of council to protect public safety and to protect the safety of staff and council. We're the decision makers. Business doesn't stop because there's a snowstorm. Municipal essential services, water and sewer, and all the services that we provide on garbage pickup, they do not stop because there's COVID or a winter storm or whatever's going on. And so we were leaders in Manitoba in terms of hosting a public hearing virtually. making sure residents were able to get a local improvement district, public hearing, and access over $4 million worth of funding. We were able to move those things forward when others completely shut down. And I know that there's been some comments from residents about virtual and whether or not we're in compliance. The provincial government, we're in complete compliance. There's been full access to this council, to the decision-making process that's been 100% fully transparent and on video throughout a global pandemic that shut down the world. And thanks to you, Brian, we were able to keep that going. And we have neighboring municipalities, the RM of Rockwood, that closed the doors, held their meetings in private. Residents were not allowed in those meetings, and all business was conducted during COVID in private, without a single resident being able to view that meeting, those meetings, or come in and attend. And that's what's happening around us. And we didn't skip a beat. And you came in here and you set up equipment, and we figured out how we could do it. And it's hard, it's challenging. It's meetings there's a lot you're trying to do with municipal business. And further to that, out of all of the hundreds of meetings that you've done with us, the meetings that are live stream and the education briefings and all of the things that we've done, we've had technical issues twice. I think you've got a good record of we're all going to have some issues come up and things go down with internet service or problems. And so I commend you and Ken and what you've been able to help us achieve. When we were elected 4 years ago, this council wanted to make sure that we were open and accessible and that the public was always welcome. And so how do you balance that with public safety and the safety of our staff? And we were able to do that because of you. And my expectations of decision-making that's done in a public forum that's accessible to people, because of you, you exceeded my expectations of what that would be. So we changed our meetings times immediately after the election from 6 o'clock at night to 5:30 and made that easier for people to come, or bumped them, I apologize, from 5:30 to 6. So residents could come after work and sit in chambers and come and watch our meetings. And we had 2 to 4 people. And now, you know, within 24 hours, as you pointed out, 48 hours, we're looking at hundreds of people who are watching our meetings. So this council should be extremely proud of what we've offered to our residents, and that we have more people in the RM of West St. Paul engaged in our local decision-making than we have in the history of this community. And you have helped us make that happen, Brian. So I'm extremely proud of that and what we've been able to accomplish there, thanks to you. In terms of the numbers, my background is research and I'm data driven. And when I hear people make comments of, I want to watch it live and I want to get down there in chambers and I want to see your meetings, that's fine. I want people to come in chambers. I much rather have people see me in person than look at little boxes on a screen like the Brady Bunch. So I would like to see people in person safely. But the reality is, you've shown the data. We've had 2 to 4 people that have come and watched our meetings in person. And even when we offer it live, so you don't have to get in your car, you don't have to drive in the snow, you don't have to come down here, you don't have to find a seat, you don't have to wait for us to get started. All you have to do is grab your iPad or grab your phone and click on the meeting from West St. Paul. And only 2 to 4 people are actually doing that live in the moment, beyond the 2 computers that you've got running and the staff that's watching in case there's an issue, and probably other staff and some of our spouses. So, you know, I love that you've provided the data, because the reality is 2 to 4 people are watching our meetings live. And that makes me think about our strategic plan and our fiscal responsibility. So what you've said to council in your options, and I don't know if you want to pull those up on screen again, Lainey, just so we can see and residents can see. I love that you've provided us 5 options. You've told this council that you can do anything and that you can make that work. And here's the risks and here's the pros. And so you can make it absolutely work to have a bunch of cameras in here to make sure that we have cameras. You could have us live stream still, all in chambers, side by side, shoulders touching. We're still a small desk here at the top. And you could have people in our chambers and you could stream it live and you could record it and put it out the next day. And it's going to cost $27,000 more in equipment, and we're going to have $4,500 at least more, and we don't want sound feedback, and here's the issues and how do you address all those. So we're going to spend over $32,000 to accommodate 4 people who are watching the meeting live on a good day. And so I want to balance the fiscally responsible and meeting the needs of our residents. So I'm with Councillor Busetti and his pro option 3, that we open the doors and let people come in, and it might be 2 to 4 people, because we haven't had a lot live, and we haven't had a lot watching live online. And on top of that, then we post out the recorded video within 24 hours and have that timeline, because if that's when hundreds of people are watching after, then let's accommodate that. Here's the process. Here's what the data shows us. And I think to spend $32,000 for an average of 2 people, $15,000 each to watch our meeting live, I don't feel that that's good value for our tax dollars. So I'm supportive of option 3. And I think we've done, like I said, an amazing job of satisfying our legislative requirements, most importantly, making sure that residents have been able to watch our meetings. And I'm tremendously proud of that. And a new number for me this evening, 27,000, when you factor in that people are watching more than once, blows my mind. So there are people out there that love watching us so much, they're watching us again and again. 27,000 views of our meetings. So kudos, Brian, and thank you for making us more accessible than ever before. So I'm pro option 3. And with the stipulation that the new council comes January, this gets them till January, depending on what council decides here, we'll have to make that decision of what they think is best. And that council may decide to spend more money, or things may change, but how do we get the new council to the end of the year? Thank you so much, Brian. I think that closes your portion. And Mr. CAO, the other factor that was considered, because it is taken seriously in terms of residents coming back into chambers, a air quality study of what that looks like. So we're approaching fall. We want people to be in and view our meetings, and you brought someone in to assess air quality, what that means for the number of people that can come in and watch our meetings, and public safety and health.
Yeah, I would recommend that we address safety, and we have some spacing. So if the room can hold 45 maximum in a pre-COVID day, I would recommend that we'd be at about 20 or so for meetings for a maximum now. But I think that's something that we can space out. So I think it would probably be 50% capacity. Air levels are good here, but they have recommended that if you have a full room, that you could jeopardize health risks. And moving forward, we don't know what health risks will be. And I just want to point out that what you said in the last part of your statement, that this is, when I was viewing, this is for November and December. So this council will be handing the torch over to the 2023 coming up council, so the end of 2022. And how are they going to get through in November and December? And then they can decide. If they want to be more elaborate, or they're happy doing what they're doing. So really today, what you're doing here is when you hand that torch over, that they know what they're doing for at least the next 2 months, and they can carry forward. So that's the comments that I have.
Thank you, Mr. CAO. I understand. Go ahead, Brian.
Sorry, I just want to thank council for letting me present, and thank you for all the kind words, and letting me help as a resident, helping me, support my community and be at the forefront of what West St. Paul is doing. So I just want to thank you guys for that opportunity, and to be able to showcase my skills and what West St. Paul and what we can do together. So thank you.
Thank you for that. Ms. Shaw, you have a resolution prepared depending on the options that council chooses. So you'd prepared a resolution, and depending on which way we want to go, I can go around the table and see where people are at in terms of which option they prefer for November, December. And then Ms. Shaw can provide us with a resolution of council. So Councillor Busetti, I'll just confirm, you had mentioned that you prefer option 3. I want to confirm of what this looks like.
Yes, option 3.
Thank you. Councillor Pereg, just confirming which option you would prefer.
Option 3.
Councillor Kleiber,
I think option 3 is fine with backup of Zoom for any council members that need to be away.
thank you. And Councillor Link?
3 is fine. I understand you're saying that the public will be welcome in 3. Okay, thank you.
So just to confirm, option 3 is resuming in-person council meetings with 1 camera and recorded video of the meetings that then get posted up within 24 hours following the meeting, not live streaming. Okay, Ms. Shaw, can I have you present a resolution for council then for us to vote on?
Certainly. Would you like me to read it aloud, Madam Mayor, or bring it up on the screen?
Reading it aloud is fine. Thank you.
Thank you. The resolution reads as follows. Whereas the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul passed Resolution 2020-139 to conduct all meetings using a video conferencing communication facility until such time that the COVID-19 pandemic did not pose a significant health and safety risk. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul, having reviewed and considered various options for various options to conduct, all council meetings during the months of November and December 2022, approve resuming in-person council meetings with 1 camera and the recorded video of the meeting posted to YouTube within 24 hours following the meeting and the associated cost to do so. And further, be it resolved that the municipality will provide information in the agenda announcement email blast on how residents may access the council meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. Councillor Link, did you have a question?
Well, yes, should the resolution contain something about the new council re-examining, reviewing these arrangements, because maybe the new council will prefer a different option or an option that's not even there.
Yes, Councillor Link, at the beginning of the resolution, it says that this is for meetings during the month of November and December 2022. So we're approving decisions of what the video format looks like and access to the public to chambers for November and December only. And then the council will have to consider. This only covers what we're going to do, what they do from November to December. So they don't have to deal with it. But we can't really, I don't think we should give direction to new council. They're going to need to figure out what it is that they're wanting to do. This only deals with November and December. They're going to have to deal with this.
Well, hopefully they'll be aware of it. Maybe someone will have to make them aware of it.
That'll be the job of administration.
Thank you.
Can I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Bisetti, seconded by Councillor Prague. Any further discussion on the resolution? And I guess my only comment would be, depending on how things are in the fall with the new council and the pandemic and cases, things may change and a new council may need to consider how many are in chambers or if it's access. So we'll have to see. All right, I have a mover and a seconder. I'll call for a recorded vote. And I will call for the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. We have a couple of items in camera to address. I'll read the resolution to go in camera. Be it resolved that in accordance with section 152(3) of the Municipal Act, Council do now move in camera to discuss matters that are in preliminary stages and respecting which discussion in public could prejudice a municipality's ability to carry out its activities or negotiations and legal matters. And be it further resolved that in accordance with section 83(1)D of the Municipal Act, any issues that are discussed are kept confidential until discussed at a regular meeting of council. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Prague, seconded. Councillor Link, Councillor Kleiber,
You didn't think I was seconding the motion? Anyways, I will be leaving the in-camera portion when it comes to you discussing my outstanding lawsuit yet again. So I'll stay in for the first two and then I will recuse myself for the third one. Thank you.
thank you. So voting to go into camera to address these issues. I have a mover and a seconder. And I will call for the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. We had a number of items that were discussed in camera. I'm going to jump down. We have resolutions on a couple of items, 18.32, 18.31, 18.32, and 18.33. Ms. Shaw, I'm going to start with outstanding lawsuit Kleiber Lamoureux versus Seven Oaks School Division and the RM of West St. Paul. And if you would read that resolution coming out of camera.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm skipping to the third resolution as Councillor Kleiber declared that she was stepping away from that. And so we'll read that resolution while she is continued to step away. And then on the development agreement, item 18.3.1 and 18.3.2, Councillor Kleiber is able to vote and participate on those. So Ms. Shaw, I'll turn it to you to read the resolution for 18.3.3.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The resolution proposed is, whereas the applicants Dorothy Kleiber and Tara Lamoureux commenced a notice of application in the Court of Queen's Bench, file CI 17-01-06991, the application, as against the Seven Oaks School Division and the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul, and made certain allegations therein, the particulars of which are set forth in the application and materials filed in the court file. And whereas the applicants Dorothy Kleiber and Tara Lamoureux have reached out to the Seven Oaks School Division and the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul seeking to abandon the application and not pay costs to either the Seven Oaks School Division or the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul. And whereas the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul is entitled to the costs of the application unless the court orders otherwise. And whereas the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul has in the past sought and obtained costs as against applicants in similar matters. And whereas the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul authorized the CAO by way of resolution 2021-446 dated September 23rd, 2021 to instruct legal counsel for the Rural Municipality to agree to the request of the applicants Dorothy Kleiber and Tara Lamoureux that they be permitted to fully and finally abandon their notice of application in the Court of Queen's Bench file number CI 17-01-06991, with costs being payable by the applicants Dorothy Kleiber and Tara Lamoureux to the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul as per the court tariff. And whereas the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul instructed the CAO by way of resolution 2022-275 dated July 7th, 2022 to engage legal counsel for the Rural Municipality to resolve the matter. And whereas no payment or further information has been forthcoming on the matter, now, therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul instruct the CAO to engage legal counsel for the Rural Municipality to seek and obtain costs for the application as entitled and determined by the courts.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. Can I get a mover on that, please? Moved by Councillor Rossetti, seconded Councillor Prague. Any further discussion, which would require us to go back in camera? Seeing and hearing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. All right. Councillor Kleiber has been notified then that we are out of camera and there are 2 items remaining. Ms. Shaw, I'll have you read the resolution regarding the Lockport Taxi Limited versus the RM of East St. Paul, St. Andrews, St. Clements, and West St. Paul. If you don't mind reading that resolution, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The proposed resolution is, whereas the applicant Lockport Taxi Limited commenced a notice of application in the Court of Queen's Bench file CI 19-01-22428, the application as against the rural municipalities of East St. Paul, St. Andrews, St. Clements, and West St. Paul, and made certain allegations therein, the particulars particulars of which are set forth in the application and materials filed in the court file. And whereas the Court of Queen's Bench dismissed the application, and whereas the applicant appealed the Court of Queen's Bench decision to the Manitoba Court of Appeal, and whereas the Manitoba Court of Appeal dismissed the appeal of the applicant and the decision of the Court of Queen's Bench was upheld, and whereas the rural municipality of West St. Paul is entitled to the costs of the application from both levels of court unless the court orders otherwise, and whereas the rural municipality has in the past sought and obtained costs against applicants in similar matters, now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul instruct the CAO to engage legal counsel for the rural municipality to seek and obtain costs of the application as entitled and determined by the courts.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. Can I get a mover on this, please? Moved by Councillor Braccetti, seconded Councillor Prague. Any discussion which would require us to go back in camera? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. One more item then on the agenda, and I will read the resolution. Be it resolved that the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul approve the servicing agreement for the subdivision S21-2932, and further be it resolved that the mayor and CAO be authorized to sign the service agreement. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Prague, seconded Councillor Braccetti. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. And this completes our final council meeting for this term. Thank you. Can I have a mover to adjourn our meeting? Moved by Councillor Prague, seconded by Councillor Braccetti. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. Have a good night.